In this episode of Safety Optional, I fixed the brakes in my 1991 Jeep Cherokee Briarwood.
Oh, I've got this speedometer now. Oh no, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Maybe you should have closed it.
Now it's closed.
So in a previous episode, you'll see when I acquired this Jeep and then I replaced the fuel system on it and got it running. I took it for a little bit of a test drive and I realized that the brakes were not working at all. I had to stand with both feet on the pedal and push it as hard as I could and it would barely stop. It was obvious that the old school ABS anti-lock brake system that this thing had was just not working. It had completely croaked. And a little bit of online research told me that that was a very, very common thing with this era of Jeep. In fact, whenever I made a couple posts on some forums about it, instantly people said, whatever you do, replace the brake system. So that's what I did. I want to be able to get this thing where I can drive it around town and enjoy it, and maybe, if I get it fixed up enough to where I trust it, let my sons drive it when they're old enough. So I went to a junkyard and I got a brake booster from a much newer XJ Cherokee. When I went to the junkyard, they wouldn't let me film there. They discouraged it, I'm sure from YouTuber type crap and liability and whatnot. So here's that footage right here. So this is the Briarwood. I've got it in the shop here. And this is the brake system. So here's our master cylinder. Here's our reservoir. This is all attached to it here. And then you've got these lines for the ABS that then eventually go down below. Now, when you drive this thing, for one, the ABS light is on, and two, when you fully depress the brake, it almost kind of wants to start slowing down slightly. In other words, it does virtually nothing. You have to stand with both feet on the pedal to make this thing brake. And I want you to look real good. Those of you who are familiar with Jeeps will notice some peculiar things about this. There's no brake booster on here. It just has this weird manifold down in there that does some sort of ABS magic. I don't know. This was early in the days of anti-lock braking, and obviously the engineers at Chrysler had not gotten it right with this system. So to give you a little perspective, let me show you what a non-ABS brake system would look like. So look real good. This is ABS. Whatever this weird pressure vessel is attached to a proportioning valve, I don't know. Let's go look at the other one. So ideally, what I'd want to do is make the brakes on that Jeep work like the brakes on this Jeep. Keep it simple. No need for ABS. Anybody with half a brain can drive somewhat decent and not have to need ABS. It's a little bit helpful in the bad weather, but you know, I'd rather have some brakes than have super safe ABS brakes. So this is what I got. This is the full brake booster system from a 2001 Jeep Cherokee. So you've got this part back here, connects to the brake pedal. Firewall right here is where it bolts up. This is the booster, connects with a vacuum line. Reservoir, brake fluid goes in there. Proportioning valve. Theoretically, this should work. And so, I want to put this into there. Dimensionally, it should work, right? I mean, it came out of a Cherokee. It should go back into a Cherokee. Things that make me slightly concerned, though, are this. But if we're not able to make this work, we can cross that bridge later. But first, all this stuff has to come out. And I've already had to kind of reconcile it in my mind that this will not be a completely stock original example. But I would rather be able to drive it and have it be safe than have it be perfectly original. As cool as these Jeep Cherokees are, and as important it is that I think that we preserve them, I think this is a departure that is worth doing. So I'm gonna dig right in. Well, if you want to know if those top bolts are hard or easy, that's a contraption that I had to make to get up there to get the top two. So wobble extension into a U-joint with a flex head ratchet. Yeah, fun. Well, as luck would have it, my GoPro died right at the climax of that boss battle. But I got the old crap out. Now I've got the while my camera was dead, I went ahead and test fit the new one in there, and it fits. So that's good news. Let's take a little bit closer look. This is just part of the junk that I took out. I think this is the old pump. This is the old master cylinder. That's the controller. All stuff that I've never seen in any other vehicle. Because shortly after they figured out this brake system, they realized there's a lot better way of doing this. So I went ahead and stabbed it in there, and it does fit. And I'm gonna need to do a little bit of finagling with the lines, but it's a really good start. So some of the lines that run to this side, of course, will have to be run back over there. That one will have to be rerun. But I've got a tubing flare kit and I can make new lines, so I'm not worried about that. But that is awesome. I'm glad to have it out. That is the brain box of the ABS system. I do not know what I'm going to do with it yet. And then over yonder, underneath all that junk, is still more guts for the ABS system. Well, so I did a little more checking up underneath, down underneath the floorboard, and I'll throw a picture up here of what I saw. But basically, this rod, which is, there's a lug on the brake pedal that pushes this rod in to actuate the brakes. This rod is too long and needs to be shortened by 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. Right, this is the picture that I got, which I'll share a little bit better on the screen for you guys. But I looking at it, you can see where the this part goes over and around that right there, right? So it looks like it roughly lines up there, right? So I put a mark on the shaft there where I think the center line needs to be. What I'm going to do is, that's the center line, so I need to cut back a certain distance to account for that right there. So I'm going to figure that with my old caliper here, mark a new line where I need to cut this off, snip, snip, grind it clean, weld it on, and be done. All right, taking a look here, I'm about 4.5 inches is what I'm seeing from the surface there. And when I hold that up against my eyeball mark, which is, you can barely see there, looks like I'm off by just a hair. We're right on the money. So that feels really good to know. That confirms my suspicions. There's my center line. There's my cut line. I just kind of eyeballed it using the caliper here. But that's what I'm going to do. So going to measure a couple more times just to make sure that that feels right, that when we cut this off, center line goes there, and then we'll cut and weld. So I need to have 4.5 inches from here to the center of this hole. Let's see. Actually, it's right there. So, yep, that's the way I need it to be. Need a little gap for my weld, and this baby will work. All right, I'm gonna try this first, kind of freehanding it. See if I can get it to stick. All right, on the money. Time to burn her in. It may not be pretty, but will it make the Jeep stop? All right, here's the finished product. Got to weld it up, threw a lick of paint on it real quick, put that little boot on there. Yep, it's kind of mangled, but it'll work. But yeah, there's our booster. Yee-haw. I'm gonna let that paint dry, and then I'm gonna throw it back in the Jeep. So I'm getting ready to make my last flare on this thing. What should be my last flare. And I am no expert when it comes to these double flares, but in my experience, I've kind of learned a little bit. I cut off the line, used a little pointy thing. Let me show you. Used my little snap punch actually to kind of ream out the opening a little bit and make sure that the it's not pinch closed from where I cut it off. Then I've got it here in my double flare kit, and I'm setting the little jig on there. This part goes on, and what it's going to do is it's going to smash it down to where it dimples out. And at pointer, always make sure you have your fitting on there and you have it oriented correctly. That always seems to happen, that people will forget that. So that's on, correct size. I had to change the size of the fitting on this one. So I've got it on there. Now I'm gonna squeeze it. And that's gonna get it to balloon out. So now it's smashed down there. It helps to put this in a vise, but I'm doing it here anyway. So now it's all squished out, kind of ballooned out there. Now, I'm going to run this down without the die. Go. And bam, double flared. Ta-da! There it is. All right, so I have all my brake lines now loose fitted. So I had to make new lines to adapt the old to the new. This one ran all over the place. It had all sorts of kinks and stuff like that that ran around to the other side. So I cut it off here and used a union, not a compression fitting, but a union to connect this new short line, which now runs into the back of the proportioning valve for the passenger side front brake. Then this one here I just cut off and put a new fitting on. This is the driver's side front brake, and then this one had a union on it already, and so I just tapped onto that union, new line, and replaced the little fitting with a big fitting to go in there. And that now is the rear brakes. So this is completely mocked up now. There's one other thing I want to draw your attention to, and it is this right here. This is a vacuum port that is capped on this model, but what connects to it is this hose right here to provide vacuum power for the booster. So once I'm ready to do my final install, I'll pull this cap off, plug this onto there, doot, and this thing will have vacuum boost for the assist. Here's a better shot of what those fittings look like without the booster in the way. So there's driver's front, rear, and the union for the passenger front. Okay, up there, right there, right, is the brake pedal, and I got the clip back on, so you can see the push rod that I modified. There. So there it is, working, all done up in here, so it won't come off and lose brakes in the middle of a drive. That sucks. And then around the front here, the master cylinder and booster all bolted up, all the lines done up, and the the vacuum boost line is hooked up. So I need to make final tightnesses to that, but she's all in. I'm going to add some fluid to it and just let it start going through the lines a little bit, and see if I can bench bleed it in the car here a little bit. I might have to crack some lines loose and do the old vice grip garage trick on it with these top lines, but at least the physical installation of it is done, thank goodness. All right, I put the Jeep back up on jack stand so I can get a little bit more access back here. But now that I've got the master cylinder installed, I need to bleed the brakes. And everybody always says you're supposed to start at the farthest and work to the nearest. So the farthest brake is the passenger right rear. So I'm gonna just see if I can even get the bleeder out. Up there, that's the bleeder. This is where the wheel cylinder is. So I'm gonna try to get that bleeder screw out and just let it gravity bleed if I can. Gonna give it a shot. I saw it on Vice Grip Garage. Hopefully I don't have to pump or suck or do anything to get it flowing, but we'll see. Probably gonna get a rag, put it on the ground here to soak up the mess. And then the other trick will be to be up in the front making sure that the reservoir doesn't go dry, because then I'd just be putting air back into the system. So this is that bleeder, And you can see there's a little teeny pinhole in there, and then it comes out there. It's probably plugged up a little bit, so I'm going to clean it out. But up under there, I've got some fluid dripping. It was dripping out, so I'm going to see if I can make it drip a little bit faster. All right, we are got to do a little test to see if it'll if the brakes are working. All right, you get to be cameraman.
Okay.
You get to hold it on me. We're gonna see how this goes. It still feels kind of spongy, but it does feel like it's stopping it, so.
Okay.
Definitely better than it was, that's for sure. All right. Oh yeah. We've got brakes. We definitely got brakes. All right, test drive.
We should put on seatbelts.
Yep, put on your seatbelt.
You really old seatbelts. Got it.
Yeah, record that needle. Look at my tack. When I turn the turn signal on, the tack goes crazy. All right, well now it's fine.
We only got.
Oh, now it's up. Oh, it doesn't know what it's doing.
It does that when every turn.
Oh, I've got no speedometer now. Oh no, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Maybe you should have closed
Now
it.
it's closed.
Don't do that. Not that. Don't get. Fix this. Not go that fast. No.
Ooh, wow, that worked. It's working better.
No engine thing.
Yeah, the hood should be latched now. So we're gonna pull up here and stop and turn around. We'll test it out, okay? On that remarkable victory, we're gonna end right there. All right, so here's a finished view under the hood. The only thing that hadn't been done is finally mounting the fluid reservoir for the washer, windshield washer here. And that's because it had to move forward about an inch. So I just need to back those screws out and drill new holes and run them in here. But here is our new brake master cylinder and booster. Since I can pull this out of the way a little bit, now you can see it down in there. So here's the booster. Hey, here's the booster, and here is the master cylinder and the lines that run out and back to the proportioning valve down there. And that's the proportioning valve with the lines that run to the front. And then here is the cavity that we now have open where the old ABS system was installed. I still have dead wiring in here that I need to pull out. There's more dead wiring over here from the old ABS system, most of which I'm just going to leave. There's no sense in jacking with it right now. The check ABS light is already on, but we could ignore that knowing that we have good brakes. So, finished product of the brake system. Next order of business is going to be some other stuff here. I think I said it before, it does need a valve cover gasket, and it's quite obvious now that down in there the alternator is bad. So in the next video I'll order a new alternator and show you guys how I'm going to replace the alternator in this bad boy. I want to thank you for watching this far into this video. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you sticking with me, following along through this project. This is really just a labor of love for me. Like I said, this Jeep means a lot to me. Has some sentimental memories about it, and really love the people who had this before me, and want to honor them by taking care of this thing and getting it back on the road. So it's not the most exciting YouTube channel in the world, I understand. So for watching this far, I just want to tell you thank you to everybody who subscribed and watched all the other goofy videos that we've done. Thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, and the rest of my buddies appreciate it. Please stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more with this Jeep, and then we're going to be working on our V8 swapped Comanche some more, and we've got some other goofy things we're going to be doing upcoming. So stick with us. We've got stuff coming up. But until then, I want to thank you for watching Safety Optional. I'll see you next time.